I am so proud and so honored to say that today's video is sponsored by Keen. Have you ever found yourself seeking answers to spiritual questions? Whether you're a novice or you feel comfortable with tarot or astrology, it can be incredibly helpful sometimes to get a focused personal reading on the matters of your life. I've said it before and I'll say it again that sometimes I really do have a hard time reading cards for myself. It comes naturally to me for others, but when it's just me reading for me, it's like I'm too invested in my own problems. And it's something that I am constantly working to develop. However, when I have those times, Keen has been there. And if I really need a professionally tailored psychic reading, I've received it. A psychic on Keen actually predicted my move to Washington as well as my interest in holistic nutrition, which I'm currently in school for. So I really do love their services, and I'm still astounded today at the readings that I've received. You can use your phone or go to their website to search for tons of available psychics and mediums ready to answer your questions. Literally, there's always somebody there at any point in the day. I really feel that Keen can help you discover more about yourself, like they did for me, and open your eyes to new possibilities on your psychic journey. Right now, Keen is offering you, my beautiful pumpkins, your first 10 minutes for only $1.99 when you go to trykeen.com/Kloee Tarot. You can save up to $99 using this promo, so please check it out if it calls to you. And once again, I also just want to take a moment to thank Keen for sponsoring us. Thank you so much, Keen. All right, my beautiful pumpkins, welcome back to the pumpkin patch. If you're new here, hello, my name is Kloee Taylor, and on this channel, I believe we have one of the most cozy, autumnal, vibey corners of the internet. So if you like the way that I read, if this reading helps you, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the pumpkin patch. It's free and you get new videos every single week from me. So this week, y'all, I really would genuinely, I was looking at some of my videos back from like 2020 and I was like, wow, I really used to bring such a different vibe to my readings. Not that I think my readings are not good now, because I think they're all fabulous, but the energy was just different. I mean, who wasn't a different person in early 2020? But I feel like the energy of my readings were different back then. Like I didn't have as many tarot cards. I did have a smaller following. I felt like I just connected with myself differently, connected with you differently. And this video is really me tapping back into those roots. And if you'll notice, even my setup, like usually I would just lay one card out to make it look like super professional and sleek, but I actually have the entire card pile for each pile out, even though it doesn't look like crisp, clean, perfect edges. And I just wanted to bring back that like cozy, homey feeling. So that's what we're doing here today. If you may have already chosen a symbol for your reading, I'll go ahead and put those on the screen for each different pile. There are some crystals that I'm using today as well. Pile number 1, you have the rose quartz. Pile number 2 has some angel aura quartz. And pile number 3, you have this beautiful piece of citrine, actually. So also, if you will notice, this is my thriving pothos plant. I don't know if any of you are plant moms or plant dads or plant people out there, but this is like the first house plant that I have ever myself attempted to keep alive that has like thrived. So I don't even think I named this plant. So let me know down below if you have any cute like ideas for naming my plant. I know you can't see the whole thing in the video because she will not fit, but let me know if you have any names, or he or they. I'm not really sure if the plant has a gender, but or an identity, but I would love some name suggestions. Anyways, today's reading is very much going to be, if you feel like you've been needing a sign, this reading is going to be that. Okay. So just really, you may already have like gotten an idea of which pile you want to choose. Feel free to head to the timestamps that are going to be listed down below, and we're just going to get into it. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to meditate with these piles with some music if you want to, and then we're going to get into it starting with pile number 1. All right, pile number one. If you chose the rose quartz heart over here, this is going to be your reading. So I have some other cards too that we'll look at in a little bit, but we're going to start with these first 5 cards. So also I will link all the decks that I use down below if you are curious as to what they are in the order that they appear. So at the heart and center of your reading, I do see that you have the devil showing up here. And the devil it's not literally the devil. It's more symbolic of feeling like you are stuck, like you are trapped to an idea, a religion, a person, a habit that you'd like to break. It's like feeling chained to something. And interestingly enough, I don't know why this is coming out. I'm just literally bringing through whatever is coming. So I also, like when I first saw this card, I noted how these people's feet are about to like touch these flames. And I feel like ultimately this is like, there might be like something about your feet. I don't mean like in a fetish way, but like there might be something about like having hot feet instead of like cold feet. It's almost like you have the opposite, like you have hot feet. You are always ready to like jump in head first to something. And sometimes this leads you down the path of feeling like there's something outside of you that always is in control versus you being in control and getting to make decisions. Like it's almost like, I don't want to say like extremist, but like it's the opposite of like doubting everything. It's like there's almost too much of just like diving into things without really thinking about them. So I don't know why that came up, but it did. I'm just trusting it. The devil also talks about being in relationships sometimes that are not necessarily good for us. Like you can feel like you're like trapped in a marriage, trapped in a relationship, trapped in a family, trapped in a friendship. It just really talks about feeling bound to another person for whatever reason. Like it could be a multitude of reasons. It could be a bad situation. It could be that you feel like you'll never love anybody else or nobody else will ever love you. Or maybe you're in a situation where you can't exactly leave home because finances are just not in the place. And, I know at least here in America for sure, maybe all over the world, I'm not 100%, but the housing market's kind of crazy right now. So feeling like stuck and trapped in a situation that doesn't really make you feel very good. But there is some good news here. So number one, I do see that you have the Queen of Wands here, which tells me that your self-esteem is going to be rising because the Queen of Wands is somebody that the Queen of Wands is somebody that is very like has high self-esteem, high confidence, and she knows what she wants and she's not afraid to go get it. So it's almost like that like hot feet that I was talking about. I don't know if that's like actually a thing. The first thing I thought of when it comes to hot feet, I thought of cold feet. So I don't know if hot feet means something else in like another ideology. That's just what came to me. So with this though, I do feel that maybe where you feel like you don't think things through all the time, sometimes this actually leads you to having more confidence when things actually churn out the way that they're supposed to or the way that you want them to. So it's almost like you keep looking at this thing in your life like it's horrible, it's awful, it's bad, it's never good for me. But the thing is you actually do gain something from it. And even if it's something you really don't want, if I could give you an example of this, let's say in my own life. Now, please just know, like, trigger warning, I am going to talk a little bit about eating disorder. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I have personal experience with this, and I'm putting the trigger here because I know that this can be a really sensitive topic. So if this is something you're not comfortable hearing about, feel free to click away from my video or choose a different pile. But the reason I'm bringing up eating disorder is I used to think that me overindulging or binge eating was just me self-sabotaging. But through like therapy and healing modalities, I actually came to understand that eating and like overindulging was a way that I kept myself safe. It was what I turned to when I didn't have emotional support. And believe it or not, even though it was something that became problematic over time, prior to that eating disorder developing, I actually really struggled with anorexia. So food was actually something that needed to be more a part of my life. And this was something that was really serving me to indulge more, to put more weight on. And then I just kind of ended up in the opposite side of the spectrum. So it wasn't that I was self-sabotaging. It was that something that became a habit that was actually saving my life, that was benefiting me, became a coping mechanism that no longer actually helped anymore and was in turn hurting me. It wasn't actually self-sabotage. It was something that at one time really actually served me and it gave something to me. And then it ended up turning into a different problem entirely. And the thing that I need to really make kind of like important here is that even dealing with binge eating disorder, which I don't believe I deal with anymore, I've really healed from that. Even dealing with binge eating disorder, it was a comfort to me. It was something that when I would feel a certain type of way, food was always there for me. Food was always something that would rise my dopamine, give me something to look forward to when I was really, really, really depressed and really low. And that did give me something. And I feel like we forget sometimes that the things that we think sabotage us can often be things that have saved us at one time or another. And now at this present moment, they're not helping anymore. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, that you're sabotaging yourself. It means that the tool that you were using to help yourself at one point is just no longer helpful and you need to find new tools. So just like stop being so hard on yourself is basically what I'm trying to get at. So Queen of Wands says that this might even be something that has served you or currently serves you in some way. And it's time to gain a new perspective because the Hanged One is a new perspective. You're never going to be able to judge yourself into loving yourself. You can only open up that wound, see it for what it is, and love yourself forward. I promise you are never going to be able to judge yourself into a happy person. Judge yourself into a person that truly loves and loves themselves unconditionally. Judgment is never going to take you there. And the sooner you can get on board with that, and even if it takes a lot of work and a lot of practice, loving yourself is something that actually can heal you and bring you to a place of having so much more compassion, not only for yourself, but for everyone else around you. And the Four of Wands and the Strength card tells me that I feel like you haven't been celebrating yourself enough. I feel like not only do you keep moving the goalpost, every time something good happens in your life, it's like you're happy for a second and then you move the goalpost again. And Spirit is saying you really need to take a good long look at yourself and recognize that you have brought yourself so far in this lifetime. You have brought yourself through so many things. You always come home to you. And even if you have to do it 1,000 times before you fall madly, deeply, unconditionally in love with yourself, you need to start making more space for celebrating how far you've come. Because if you're waiting for somebody else to notice your accomplishments, to notice what you've done, to notice what you're building, to give you validation is a big one. You're never going to be satisfied because I have to tell you something. Nobody is going to care as much about the things that you do as you do. I promise. People, don't get me wrong. This is not me telling you that people can't be happy for you. Heck, I celebrate the crap out of people. I love people. I have such a deep, passionate love for humanity. And this is why I tell you in so many of my videos that I genuinely love you because I have such a deep, deep, unconditional love for humans. Even ones that do shit that make me crazy, I have such a deep, unconditional love for humanity. And with that knowledge, though, it doesn't mean that I can't celebrate people or other people can't celebrate you or that they can't mean it. It means that they're going to celebrate your thing. They might continue to celebrate you as they watch you celebrate yourself. But at the end of the day, they're probably not thinking about the thing that you made. They're probably not thinking about the stuff that you've accomplished. They're probably not thinking about what your business is doing. You are the person that thinks about those things 24/7 because they matter to you. And this is not a fault of humanity. This is totally normal. Everybody is actually very self-absorbed. And even the things that you think are like flaws within yourself that you think other people are obsessed about, they're not. Like, gosh, do you realize what a blessing it was when I finally got it through my head? Like, every time somebody would take a photo of me and I was like, I look fat or something, I would just sit and like pick myself apart. Do you know how many people don't do that? How many people look at that photo and they're only focused on themselves? They don't actually look at anybody else. This is why you have people that post group photos and they only like touch up and edit themselves. They won't edit anybody else in the photo because they're not concerned about anybody else. Like, that's what this says to me is like, you need to learn how to celebrate you. Again, not because other people don't want to do it with you, because people do love you. People do want to celebrate you. But at the end of the day, the things that matter to you only really matter to you. This is actually something that can be so self-empowering if you let it. It can also, I feel like, be a slap in the face if it's something you've never thought about. And I'm sorry if I had to do that today. Remember, I am not the tarot card reader that is going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not Willy Wonka. I am not the candy person. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing here. I tell it like it is. I feel like a lot of people describe my readings as very down to earth, and I definitely feel like I hold that title. I will take it. I agree with that. But the last thing before we move into the rest of the cards is strength. So this is about building your inner strength, because strength isn't about like going out and like punching somebody in the face and like having the strength for it. It's really about being able to like basically have somebody like speak on your name and you recognize that says more about them than it ever is going to say about you. People reveal themselves so quickly if you just listen. Listen to the way that people talk about other people, and they will reveal themselves easily. It takes so much inner strength to not only not condone that behavior, but to recognize that you don't have to participate. You can decide to do it differently. I think, once again, another fabulous example of this is like, and I would say this to anybody in my family's face, like, I'm not spilling tea. I feel like in my own family line, so many people that I am related to bond over gossiping about each other. And I'm not trying to tell you I'm perfect. I definitely have fallen into that trap multiple times. But something that I realized is it is a false sense of security with another person. It's like, you think that person's weird? Well, guess what? I think that person's weird too. It's this false sense of security where you're both picking on somebody that really isn't there to defend themselves or to speak their side of the story. Because remember, there's always three sides to every story. There's one person's, the other person's, and then there's the actual truth, which is both and. So the strength card to me really comes about to remind you that it takes a lot of inner strength, not only to see yourself this way, to have this level of self-awareness, but to also be able to decide that you don't want to participate, to decide that you don't want to be somebody who gossips, to decide that you don't want to be somebody who is always trying to please everybody else or do things because you think it's going to give you the label of like being good in somebody else's eyes. Gosh, so much is coming through in your reading, but inner strength is extremely valuable is the point. So the next few cards we have Treasure Island. We have Co-Create. And we have No Place Like Home. So with Co-Create, I want to start there with Co-Create. This card, this one here, Co-Create. I want you to remember that things are not just like fated. Like, don't get me wrong, I think fate plays an important role in our life, but you also get to have a say. You get to have a say in the life that you are consciously creating. And you might not always get to choose the things that happen in your life, but you do get to choose how you'll respond to them. And that in turn is free will. It does change things. And I want to say Brianna Weiss put it better than anybody, in my opinion. In her book, The Human Element, she talks about how you will always be able to get from point A to point B. If you have a point B in mind, you will always be able to make it there. The universe will literally stop at nothing to co-conspire with you to give you exactly what you want. The thing is, you might have so many different routes that will take you there, and you're the one that gets to make choices on how well that's going to go. You know, at one point in life, you might make a choice where you're flying like first class in luxury to get to point B. At another point in time, maybe you're on a camel, okay? And it's actually, I don't know what it's like to ride a camel. It might be super cool. I'm trying to think of like something that would just like really suck. But like riding a camel actually might be so cool. It's slower than a plane for sure. But that's kind of my point, is like you're always going to make it to point B, but the rate at which you do it and like how comfortable it is all dictated by your choices and how you choose to respond to what life gives to you. Now, I also think something that's interesting is I talked to you about like gossip, right? And you got the card No Place Like Home. And it's interesting to me that I brought up like family and gossip and how you don't have to participate in that. And I gave the example of my own family, my own roots, my place where I came from, where maybe that inner strength is really scary because it's really easy, right? I always make the comment that especially our parents or our guardians, they are the people that installed the buttons. When our buttons get pushed and we start to act like an older version of ourselves, or a younger version of ourselves rather, when we start to act like a younger version of ourselves that we're not really proud of, or we don't want to behave like, or just like outdated ways of behaving, you need to be easy on yourself and remember that those people installed the buttons, so they know how to push them. And it is such a sign of strength and maturity when they come to push those buttons and you are completely unfazed. So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes dedication to change those things, but you are capable. You do have the inner strength. And this No Place Like Home, I'm also hearing that this also is like, if you have a dream of manifesting a home, Spirit really led you to this reading to let you know that if you were looking for the sign about manifesting your future home, this is it. Like, you not only got the Four of Wands, which talks about celebration, and it does talk about the home because it's the four, and fours correspond to like four walls in a house, but you also got No Place Like Home. So if you were looking for a sign about a home, this is it. And please leave me one of those little house emojis down below if this is it. It also reminds me of that song. You might want to listen to it by Lizzo. It's called The Sign. She says, if you're looking for the sign, bitch, I'm it. And I know you see me coming because I'm thick. Oh, such a good song. But this is your confirmation that if you've been manifesting a home, I am seeing that you will be manifesting that home and you're co-creating it into existence right now. And with Treasure Island, this is also your sign that if you've been wanting love or abundance, more money, if you've been having trouble in love or in money, or even in your self-esteem, your confidence, all of these things are changing for you because the Queen of Wands is all about confidence. Treasure Island literally shows money and getting it by a way that you didn't expect, because think about that. If you just randomly saw a fucking turtle roll past you in the ocean and he just had a bunch of gold on him, would you not be so surprised? Like that, just imagine. That would be insane. So it's going to come by a way of something you didn't expect. And the love, the romance is we have these like hearts that are also coming by way of something unexpected. So if you've been hoping that like a new love or a love is going to get like reignited in your life, maybe you're hoping that somebody is going to come back to you. I am seeing that this is the sign that that love is coming. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. Now, we also have yes. Oh, I love this. Okay. Also, whenever I see the word yes, I just want to remind y'all, this is like I want to say it's a tantric practice. Really practice saying yes to yourself when you are like feeling a high pleasure state. Now, obviously, I don't know how much I can say on YouTube without getting like flagged. Also, I always want to make room for my asexuals, people on the asexual spectrum. Please just know that if I'm talking about something that you are just like completely like, nope, not for me. There are so many other ways to receive pleasure in your life other than that kind of thing. So just going to put that out there. Without getting too much into detail here, whenever I see the word yes like this, that's what I think of is that tantric practice of putting yourself in a high pleasure state, if you know what I'm saying, and basically just repeating the word yes. Like, I know we see that in the movies a lot, but do it for yourself and like bring yourself there, not necessarily with another person. It can be with another person, a trusted person, but doing this on your own, it actually helps to reprogram your subconscious for more pleasure because your subconscious mind, which is the bridge to the co-creation of the universe, like I really do believe that we have our conscious mind that we operate from, and the unconscious is actually the bridge between the like infinite possibility, God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, and our manifestation. So it's like how we actually get things. And when you bring that amount of pleasure in, the unconscious doesn't care if something is a no or a yes. It just says, oh, you want to feel like this more. I get it. This is, it's not, this is good. It's, it like responds to feeling. So make sure that you're using that. I don't know why Spirit is asking me to talk to you about that, but just try it out. Promise you, works wonders. And it also just helps to reprogram literally rewire your brain for like higher levels of like pleasure and happiness. Especially because there is something called the upper limit. I'm going to stop saying this so much. I feel like I'm getting kind of sidetracked, but Spirit is also like brought this up, was like, hey, upper limit. So Gay Hendricks wrote the book, I can't remember if it's called like The Big Leap or something of that regard. You can just look up Gay Hendricks. It's a pretty popular book, but his book talks all about the upper limit and how everybody has an upper limit, an upper threshold of happiness that they believe they can experience in this lifetime. And it is like up to you to transcend that upper limit. If you feel like you've reached it and like every time you hit this threshold and then you quote unquote self-sabotage it, it's because you have an upper limit. If your thermostat, your internal thermostat, it says that you can't go above 75 degrees of happiness, every time you hit 76 degrees, you're going to go into a full like flailing mode of like, oh no, this is too much and I don't know how to hold it. So just saying, that's one way to really help that. Interestingly enough, you also got the card no. And so you got yes and no. How confusing is that? But the no, I feel like this is also something that is powerful because how often do you say yes when you wish you would have said no? And I would also encourage that you really start to say no more. So saying yes more when it's like giving yourself those feelings, right? Those really intense feelings of pleasure, but saying no to more common things. Like somebody asked you to hand them the salt, say no. And then think about it for a minute and say, oh yeah, here you go. Because so often we say yes because we feel obligated. We say yes because we feel like we have to. We have to save face. We have to people please. And not to be the bearer of bad news here, but people pleasing, it can be a trauma response. And I always want to make room for those of y'all that feel that way because it's something that gets programmed in early on. But people pleasing is not actually a nice thing. If you really break it down to its core components, people pleasing is actually just manipulation. It's masked as a nice thing, but it's actually just manipulation covered up. It's putting like glitter on shit, basically. It's still shit. Like, I don't know how else to put it. But people pleasing, it might serve us because we do gain something from it. People think we're a good, kind, available person, but ultimately you end up hurting yourself, your integrity, and then you're also doing things from the wrong place because you think it's going to give you more praise. It's going to make someone like you more. You're afraid to make somebody uncomfortable by saying no. And Spirit is ultimately saying that this is something that's also going to help you to break free from that devil card, is saying yes when you mean yes and saying no when you mean no, and really working on this because I know it's not easy. I think a lot of us have been trained to be people pleasers, and it's something that is a process of really getting rid of. Now, the next card you have is Ocean Jasper, and it says schedule yourself in. So I actually have a hard time with this card. I don't think that you should be an afterthought, but I do think that when you are working on yourself, working on breaking free, working on your self-esteem, really like, wanting to see things from a different perspective, make these changes, it is going to feel bad when you try to just do things for yourself all the time if you're not used to it. And Spirit is ultimately saying that you need to make a non-negotiable with yourself. I want to say it's The Artist's Way, which I talk about all the time. The Artist's Way by Juliet Cannon. It's just called The Artist's Way. I want to say the author's name is Juliet or Julia, something of that regard. I'll try to link it down below if I remember. But The Artist's Way is basically this like 8-week self-done program. It's a book. I think it's like a $15 book. And basically one of the commitments you make to yourself with this book is that once a week, you're going to take yourself on a date. And it doesn't have to cost you any money. It can be free. It can be going to a park. Like, it doesn't have to be this big lavish thing if you don't have a lot of money to spend. It can be if you do have money to spend. But ultimately, you make this a weekly non-negotiable. And even if it's uncomfortable at first, I swear to you, it's life-changing. My husband and I actually both practice this, and it gives both of us time alone in the house, which both of us really require and crave. And it also makes us be more independent from each other. It helps us to like work on our codependency. So scheduling yourself in, it's like making that uncomfortableness a non-negotiable, because it's going to teach you over time really how to be your own best friend, how to build your self-esteem and build your confidence. And then we have Adventuring, Create Your Own Luck. So this to me is like that lucky girl syndrome, right? Or lucky guy, lucky person. And this to me is really about like, just, it really can be that easy. Like, y'all know that, as I've stated throughout this entire reading, I always want to be sensitive to those of you that deal with really traumatic backgrounds, as I myself have a really traumatic background. And it's taken me a lot of mental health work to get to a place where I believe that I'm lucky, but it is possible. You are able to do it. Don't let somebody tell you that like you're too traumatized for that, because it might take a little bit more effort and undoing and processing, but I promise you that that is for you too. You're also allowed to feel like a lucky person. And people that talk about that, if you've never heard about what I'm talking about, lucky girl syndrome, which also, like I said, please insert yourself here, guy, person. For my purposes, because I do identify as a cis female, I'm going to say girl, but just, call it what you will for yourself, how you identify. But lucky girl syndrome is basically where you just tell yourself that you're lucky. Good things happen to you because you are a lucky person. And you really can create that in your life. I always joke with y'all that I'm God's favorite, even though I don't believe in God, because Jupiter is my ruling planet as a Sagittarius rising. I always tell y'all, oh, I'm just God's favorite. Like, I'm just automatically blessed because Jupiter is the planet of luck and abundance and expansion. So I'm just automatically God's favorite. And I swear to you, the luckiest things happen to me. Same with my husband. He says the same thing about himself, and we have the coolest experiences together where like we'll get like the last ticket for something, or we'll get the last parking space or the best parking space, or we'll get like the perfect waterfront home. Okay. Like we literally will sit here and go back and forth and just tell each other how lucky we are and how blessed we are and how like magical we are. And I swear to you, when you actually carry that internal belief and you believe it without a shadow of a doubt, and you can create that, you can create no shadow of a doubt in your heart, in your mind, it can become part of you. You really will experience those things. But I also want to encourage you that if you're somebody that really struggles with that, don't say, I'm lucky. Say, I am in the process of becoming lucky. And repeat that to yourself, because it's easier for you to believe that, especially if you come from somewhere where it's really hard for you to believe that. Right? Or like, I am in the process of being able to say no easily, or I am in the process of building the life that I love. If you're not ready to say, I have the life that I love, I am this kind of person. I'm actually really working on an affirmation track for y'all that I will be putting out soon, where I'm making affirmations that basically mimic this. There's like a level, there's not level 1 and level 2. I haven't decided what I'm calling them yet, but they're affirmation tracks where there's like a beginner mode and then like another mode, so that you can start to like play these while you sleep and really start to program these beliefs in, because it does work. And lastly, the last thing that Spirit wants you to know is the presence of love will always cast out fear. And I'm just going to let that be a message for you, pile number 1. So thank you so much for letting me channel this. Thank you for letting me get back to my roots of reading and just letting me show up with kind of formless, without a theme, without trying to make the algorithm impressive, without like, this is just me showing up authentically, wanting to be a channeler for you and wanting to bring content to you that speaks to your soul, speaks to you. And I hope that you know that, like, really, this is your sign. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. And you can create whatever you want. And please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. If you would like to support me, y'all, of course, you can always comment, like the video, subscribe. Those are all free ways to help me. But if you would like to support my content here, the work that I do, I just want to take a moment to talk to you about my Patreon. Patreon really is the backbone of my community. It is why I'm able to continue to do what I do the way that I do it. And you get so much cool free content when you sign up. You get like, I want to say we're up to like 300 some odd posts now that you just unlock immediately. I recently put out a video over there this week that talks about your Saturn return, especially if you have a Saturn in Pisces. I went over basically how to look at your Saturn, how to find it. I literally drew on a like wheel, an astrological wheel, and showed you exactly what to look for, what website to use. I like really took you through the process and did like a whole lesson on Saturn. I also, it's not out yet, but this week the Aquarius season predictions are coming. Those are going to Patreon only. We're having a community game night this Saturday where if you join the Patreon, we're going to be playing Fall Guys together. So, and it's like, I'm going to be streaming and talking to you in chat while we all play. And even if you can't play, we're going to be talking about the astrology of the new moon. So I'm just really excited. I think that it's going to be so fun this month over there. And it really genuinely does support me as a creator. So it's like one of the best ways to do it. And If you would like to support me even further than that, I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal and my wish list listed down below, but please don't feel like that is a requirement. You listening and being here is plenty. And please just know that if nobody has told you yet this year, I love you, I love you, I love you, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye. All right, pile number 2. If you chose the Rainbow Aura Quartz, this is going to be your pile or that other symbol. But the heart of your reading, we have the Emperor. You actually have some really powerful cards in your reading. You have the High Priestess, the Five of Pentacles, the Emperor, Everything is Fine, which we'll talk about that card, and Page of Cups. We'll talk about all the cards, but I also have some other cards we'll look at in a moment, but I want to focus on these first. So number 1, if you were looking for a sign to be your own business person, be your own business person. Gosh, I'm sorry. Mercury's in retrograde while I'm filming this. But like your own boss, this is your sign. Like, not only does the Emperor represent being your own boss, like it's literally the boss card, but you also have the High Priestess. And the High Priestess, I just want to point out, though this card does resemble something different, I want you to notice that in this deck in particular, the High Priestess is sitting here with a laptop. Like she is sitting at work, writing some things out. It's like she's working for herself. She is being her own entrepreneur. She has a backdrop strewn up behind her. You might even be somebody that wants to be a YouTuber, wants to make your own content. This is your sign. If you have been considering it, this is your sign that you need to consider it. And I see that you're really scared because we have the Five of Pentacles and the Everything is Fine card, which is basically the 10 of Swords. You're really afraid of, number 1, poverty. I need to talk to you a little bit about the Five of Pentacles because the Five of Pentacles, it's literally these two people out in the cold, out in the snow, bundled up. You know, there's a church window behind them, which this is basically like the energy of like looking for sanctuary when you've been turned away, even by like a place that should have helped you. It's like given the cold shoulder, being left out in the cold. You're very afraid that, honestly, I think you're of two different fears because on one hand, you're afraid that nobody will like what you do. Nobody will watch your content. Nobody will buy your product. Nobody will hire you for that service and you'll be left out in the cold. You're really scared of that and that like you won't be provided for. And then with Everything is Fine, this is like, you're also afraid that it's going to go well. You're also afraid that like, because the Everything is Fine card, it's the 10 of Swords in this deck. And I want you to pay attention to what this 10 of Swords looks like because every tarot deck reads differently, if y'all didn't know that. And this card, she's literally sitting here, all these swords stabbed in her, and she's looking down at her phone, presumably scrolling on social media. It's like, everyone is attacked. You're afraid of being attacked for like being successful, basically. You're afraid of putting yourself out there and everybody just hating you because you're really good at what you do. And the thing is, with the High Priestess and the Page of Cups, you're not answering the call. And like I said this to pile number 1, y'all. I'm not Willy Wonka. I will not sugarcoat this for you. I'm not Willy Wonka. I do not make candy at the candy factory. I will not sugarcoat shit for you. And don't get me wrong, we love a love and light queen. We love gentleness. And usually I make plenty of readings that really exude gentle energy. The reading that wants to come through, I think today is not of gentle energy. Your guides are tired of you doubting yourself. And at this point in time, with the High Priestess and the Page of Cups being the outcome of the situation, it's like, number 1, you're not answering the call and they're getting pissed. Like, don't get me wrong, your guides are never actually mad at you. They'll just continue to bother you until the call gets so loud that you can't not answer it. That's what happens is you know that there is something inherently that you need to move forward on, want to do, feel inspired by. And what happens if you do not answer that call is it either goes one of two ways. Either something catastrophic happens that forces you to have to answer the call because now you have no other options, or the voice gets basically it gets turned down more and more and more and more and more. And suddenly the call doesn't even come through anymore. You can't hear it anymore. And you never decide to pursue that dream. And then you get to watch everybody else around you do it. Or you get to watch somebody else ends up with even if you never told them your ideas, they end up doing it instead, and it hurts to watch that concept move through someone else. Because that's the other thing. This actually comes from Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Big Magic, where she talks about how ideas are just they're just looking for a host. They're not actually your ideas. They are just looking for a host that is the best possible match to carry them out. And if you ignore that, eventually the idea will just go find another host. So if you do not answer this call, I'm not trying to create a sense of urgency in you, because I also think that urgency culture is just gross, and we can be soft with ourselves and it's okay. But I feel like the problem that you're sitting on, you are self-sabotaging, and you need to really get clear on basically this is something I always say. Okay. I feel really connected to this reading because I sense that you're somebody that really does want more for your life, and you feel like you're in a position where you just mentally don't feel like you can get there. You might even have a lot around you that is providing the situation for you. You might not as well, but you might have a lot of space for it, or time for it, or there's a lot being given to you so that you can make this happen. And you're squandering it. You're squandering it by self-sabotaging. And I just want to present a concept to you that I say self-sabotage because it's the only way I know how to explain it. And it's the most common used phrase. But self-sabotage, I would argue, isn't even real. And hear me out before you're like, Kloee, you're crazy. Hear me out. Self-sabotage is not real. Self-sabotage is not real. It is a way that we are getting our needs met because we don't know how to get them met a different way. And you are at an impasse in your life where you need to figure out a new system that works, because right now what you're doing, it's not working. You are absolutely denying yourself being able to expand and experience your own greatness. And that is devastating. That is devastating. Because the world needs what you have to offer, and you have been given so much, whether it is experience, education, maybe it's financial help. You have been given so much opportunity because you are the person that is meant to carry this forward. And I'm hearing that the Emperor or the High Priestess also might be a card that is special to you. You've seen it before, and it's something that you gravitate towards. So this might be another indication that this is your reading. I just want to point that out because Spirit said, but you're not answering the call, and you're continuing to let yourself sabotage and make excuses, and it's not a pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. You can take it gently and easily and one step at a time and really stretch it out. That's okay. But it's just looking at fear and saying, you know what, fear, you're totally allowed to be here. I love you. Thank you for keeping me safe. But right now, you need to get in the back seat. We talk about this on my channel all the time. You need to get in the back seat. I am the car driver. I'm driving the car. And fear might fight you. You might have to throw fear in the back of the car. It's, of course, so much nicer if we can be gentle with ourselves about it. But There's no easy route. I think that's also something you really need to hear, pile number 2, is that there's no easy route. There is no acceptance that you're going to come to. There is no easy way of this is all just going to work and suddenly you are going to move forward with so much ease. Your journey and your lesson is looking fear in the face and doing it anyway. And you're not going to be able to like meditate your way out of this one. You need to actually take inspired action. That's what's missing, is you feel so much fear because you're not doing anything. You're not putting that energy anywhere. And gosh, me and one of my friends talk about this all the time, that like when you feel those feelings, I don't want to say anxiety because like I'm not a therapist and I'm not like, I cannot diagnose you. So please like just keep that in mind. Never use my readings as a replacement for therapy. That's not what they're intended for. And you're using them wrong if that's how you're choosing to use them. But when you are sitting in those uncomfortable, worrisome feelings, let's say, oftentimes it's because there is energy inside your body and you're not moving it. You're just choosing to stay stagnant, and it is a choice. You are choosing to stay stagnant when there is inspiration that wants to be born through you. So stop looking up tutorials. Stop scanning through the analytics. Sit down and make something. Because that's really why you are getting so frustrated with yourself and overwhelmed, is you're not doing anything with it. And you're letting these two parallels dictate every move that you make. When if you could put fear in the back seat, even for an hour, you could tell yourself for 1 hour, fear is going to go in the back seat and I am going to work on this thing for 1 hour. You are going to feel so much more self-empowered. That is actually how you create change in your life. And I feel like nobody says it better than Dr. Nicole LePera, the holistic psychologist. She talks about keeping promises to yourself. And that's such value when it comes to a situation like this. It's, again, I want to really reiterate, this isn't a pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. This isn't get in there and get this shit done. It's a, how can you gently make plans and keep a promise to yourself on a daily or weekly basis that is moving you consistently forward. Because right now you're sitting in the stuckness and it feels horrible and you're not answering your soul's calling, and that is frustrating. I can feel your own frustration in this reading, and I can feel the frustration that is surrounding you and the uncomfortability. And I think that's another reason I'm getting so like, I will not sugarcoat this for you, because this shit is uncomfortable. I don't want to feel it either. And then lastly, before we get into the rest of your cards, this has been set, your reading is going to be so long, pile number 2. The Page of Cups says that you need to expect good things, because I think you also expect bad things, probably because there has been a history of maybe not being seen or being validated, or maybe people shaming you a lot for the things that you do or who you are. But the Page of Cups says literally expect good things. Expect something positive to come out of this. Even if you have to constantly tell the thought in your head that tells you you're not good enough, every time that thought crosses your mind, stop it and say, actually, I am good enough. And if you can't say I am good enough and believe it right now, you can also say, I am in the process of becoming aware that I am good enough, right? That's like another way to kind of not bypass, but like retrain affirmations into you if they don't feel like they fit right away, is to kind of just rephrase them. So another reason I said that like there is frustration with your lack of movement is you have the Chop Wood card. This card is literally about doing the hard work. You don't like think about the concept of chopping wood, literally like going outside and chopping wood. Maybe for some of y'all that would be really easy. But I know for me, I am not equipped for that. I have not like pumped iron most days of my life. I'm not ready to go outside and split wood. Maybe you are. Maybe your body is in tip-top condition and you could just do that. But the thing is that it is labor intensive. And it's maybe isn't something that you're doing physically, like moving your body that way. But it's almost like the hard work has to be done. And if you want to generate long-term wealth, if you want to, like, chopping wood, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Chopping wood, if you need to chop wood to heat your home, let's say, you have to get out there and do it or you're going to freeze in the winter. So this is really what is being told to you. You need to get in there and do that stuff. Get to work. Get to work on this project that you feel inspired to create, because you're going to continue to freeze in the winter every single winter if you do not get out there. And it's not a, hey, every day, 12 hours a day, you have to slave over this. It's, again, maybe it's an hour to a 45-minute increment. If you, over the course of 3 months, chopped wood for 45 minutes, 3, 4, 5 days out of the week, you would definitely have enough wood for your winter. I mean, I don't know the math on how that works. I've never chopped wood a day in my life, but you get what I'm saying. It is labor intensive. It is forward action, but you can't just look at the mountain of, oh no, I need this much wood for my winter. You have to break it down to, it's just this tree today. It's just this bit of logs that have to be split today. And then tomorrow you come back and you do it again and again and again and again. And you keep looking at the mountain, and that is what is scaring you. And that is what is giving you this like split instead of actually just taking consistent action. Your number one focus, pile number 2, is action. That is where you need to be right now. Not thinking about it, not analyzing it, not, what could it be? You're past the ideas phase. We are no longer doing the ideas phase, because I feel like ultimately the frustration you're feeling is that you have thought about this for a really long time. And the frustration is you need to act on the things that you've thought about, because without the inspired action, what you're looking for just continues to be a wish. And wishes are great. Don't get me wrong. Dream as big as you want to, but you're not going to get that wish fulfilled by just sitting and not acting on it. Now moving on, we have milk and honey and here and now. So once again, literally here and now. You're being told right here, right now. There is no, oh, I'll get to it on the 1st. Oh, I'll get to it when I don't feel this way. Oh, I'll get to it when I feel motivated. Let me tell you another secret, pile number 2. Motivation is bullshit. It is. Don't get me wrong. I think motivation can really get us going and get us fired up, but eventually motivation dries up, and it's you and your systems that you have created that are going to keep you moving forward. And if you don't have those, and you're just hoping to run on pure inspiration and pure motivation. Actually, I do believe that we can run on pure inspiration, but I think motivation is something that you cannot always count on it. And so right here, right now, you're literally being told there is nothing separating you. It's right here. It's right now. And you've honestly, like, this is going to be hard to hear, pile number 2, but you have nobody to blame but yourself. Like, I'm sorry. I think this is like the meanest reading I've ever given. I feel like this is very like tough love. It's very out of my element. And that is the energy of what this is giving. You have no one to blame but yourself. It's right here, right now. There's literally every obstacle that you have had has been moved out of your way, or if it hasn't yet, it is about to be. That is another sign that is coming through. If you feel like there is something that is in your way, it's about to be moved out of your way. But literally every obstacle that you have said has been in your way about this has been moved for you. And right here, right now. So what's it going to be? And milk and honey, this is also a sign that your efforts are not going to go unnoticed. You are going to receive what you're looking for. You are going to receive what you hope that this is going to bring to you. There is no, like, something else that I feel like needs to be said here is that there is no such thing as, oh, that just wasn't meant to work out. I'm not supposed to have that. You can literally have anything you want in this life. Anything. There is no, oh, that was just never meant to be. No, if your soul, if it is desired by you, it is destined for you. I 110% believe that. If it is desired by you, it is destined for you. There is nothing in this world that you are just not allowed to have or can't co-create or can't bring into existence. We also have ask for help from others. Actually, I want to put this down a little bit more. And we have romance. So this is interesting. I don't think this is actual romance, like with a person. I think this is about romanticizing your life. So ask for help from others, number one. Or this could also be about asking your romantic partner, if you are with someone, for assistance. But ask for help from others. If there's anybody that has done, like, this will get you so far in life. I always tell y'all on Divine Authenticity, my podcast, which if you're not listening, definitely tune in. I always tell y'all on my podcast that having mentors is one of the things that I really believe push me forward faster than anything else in my life. And I don't mean physical mentors, like people that you go and talk to on a weekly basis. If you have access to that, definitely use that. But most people, I would argue, don't. And read their books, buy their courses, listen to their podcasts. Whoever is living the life that you want to be living, you need to pay attention to them. And it doesn't mean that you're going to design something exactly like them, but you're going to do it with your own unique frequency. And having somebody else that has gone before you and done what you're trying to do, even if they do it in a way that you wouldn't do it, I promise you, they have something to teach you. Even if you don't ask blatantly, you'll learn by observing. And I really do believe that a mentor can change your whole life. Like, reading people's books can change your whole life. Listening to their podcast can change your whole life. Listening to the speeches they've given, the TED Talks they've given, the YouTube videos, if they've been interviewed, listen to those interviews, especially an interview, because I feel like people, especially mentors that you look up to or look towards, they give so much information, critical information away about how they've done what they've done in interviews, because people will blatantly ask them, wow, like, you're really successful in this way. How do you believe you did that? And they will tell you step by step exactly how they did it. And again, there might be some steps you want to change. There might be some things that you don't want to do specifically, but you can integrate some of those steps. And we really do all learn from each other. And when I see this ask for help from others, I really feel like this has to do with, like, you might even know somebody that's in the realm, or some people, or a bunch of people. Use those contacts. Don't be afraid to ask them, hey, I really want to do this. Do you think you could talk to me about it? And with romance, I do think that this could be like, genuinely talk to your romantic partner about this stuff. But I also think that with romance, this could be about romanticizing every aspect of what you're doing and really calling in the energy of, like, I mean, shoot, I just watched a TikTok today where somebody was romanticizing their cold. And I was like, wow, I've actually never thought about that. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I think that, like, we need to just let ourselves be ill and not try to make it this pretty thing. But if that actually makes you feel better to, like, use the nicer teacup for the tea for your throat, or wear like a new set of pajamas that you had sent to your house, or putting on movies that make you feel comfy, like, that is romanticizing it. And it doesn't mean you're going to call more of it into your life and be more sick, but giving to yourself and letting yourself gosh, I was just talking about this on this week's podcast, where it really ticks me off when I hear people say that, like, oh yeah, like face masks and skincare and doing your nails and all that stuff, like, that kind of self-care doesn't work. Yes, it does. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we need to negate the actual mental health aspect to helping ourselves feel better. I think that's the problem, is people think that, like, others try to mask self-care, or like getting the trauma work done, the mental health work done, the shadow work done by just, like, putting on a face mask. And I don't think anybody does that. I don't know who the first person was that said that shit, but it drives me crazy. I don't think anybody ever said that. I don't think anybody does that. And I think people can have face masks on and still cry their eyes out because they feel unwell inside. But doesn't it feel so much better to have your comfies on, be watching a Disney movie and like, I don't know, eating cheese snacks when you're sad? Like, yes, it does work. Yes, it does make you feel better. And I do think adding that romanticized element to your life right now would really benefit you. Especially if you're in a situation that you don't like, how can you add elements to it that could make you enjoy it more? I believe also that environments are huge factors in our success. That doesn't mean that if you're in an environment that is the worst, that you can't achieve success, but how can you make that environment more in alignment with the success you're trying to achieve? Even if it's like, you know, buying yourself a candle and like having the energy of like, you know, that soft, beautiful glow that candles give, you know, just little things that will bring you to that element, romanticizing it. We also have for you Pink Opal, Be Kind to Yourself. And hey, look, Angel Aura Quartz. That's what this is. Lighten up. Oh my gosh, your reading is so rude, pile number 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it had to come out like this. I'm really trying to just let it be what it is. Like that is the hardest part about being a channel, is like sometimes the way that things come out, like people will just attack me for saying something. And I'm like, yo, that's literally what your guide said to me. And it's not just like me having a biased opinion about something. I will usually tell you, like, I'll tell you I believe, or like I'll put myself in the fire when it is me. But like, I feel like your reading is just so rude. I would never, like, some of the things I said today, I would never say to somebody because it's just not in my nature to be that way. But with lighten up, this literally is like lighten up. Literally, you are getting like a shake on the shoulders. Like, it's like your guide is grabbing the sides of your shoulders and shaking you and being like, you need to lighten up. Lighten up. You are in control of this situation more than you think. And be kind to yourself at the same time, though. Like, it's not, Rome was not built in a day, right? Rome was not built in a day. What you're trying to achieve, what you want to go after, who you are. And like, I know a lot of this is like tied together, and that is what is making it hard for you. But ultimately, what is desired by you is destined for you. And the Emperor is still the heart of your reading. The call is still reaching out to you. Your spirit guides have strong opinions about the direction that you're going. And you can do it. You can do it. You are here listening to this reading because this is your sign. Yes, you can. You can do it. You can be gentle to yourself, but you can still get the work done at the same time. It's not either or, it's both and. And lastly, I have for you the capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need. When I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. Hold on, I need to read that again. That was confusing. My capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need. When I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. Okay. Oh, I get it. I didn't see these commas. And I was like, why is this reading weird? Okay, so when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. I think you've been feeling a little bit lost or like stuck. And Spirit is saying you have the ability at any point in time to tune in and change it. And it's your resistance to doing that I feel like really needs to be addressed more than anything else. I am really sorry, like me, Kloee Taylor, I am really sorry if this reading was harsh. I feel like I never give hard readings like this. This one was definitely very bitey, but this was stuff that you really needed to hear. And I really feel like you have it in you to do this. You have it in you to do this. This is your sign to go for it 110%. Know that anything that stands in your way is going to get removed. And you can do it. You can do this. Your guides believe in you. I believe in you. And please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. That, I think, is actually such an important thing for you to hear, pile number 2. Like, I know I say that at the end of every reading, but you standing up and doing this thing, you are going to empower and impact so many people with the work that you decide to do, whether it is rooted in something academic, whether it is rooted in something really fun. It doesn't matter what it is that you're creating. Your authenticity demands to be expressed. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop pushing you to express it. You are not going to stop feeling pushed to put things out there. And the longer you take, you're only disappointing yourself more. People need you. You incarnated this way at this time to be this person because people need the tools and resources that you have. People need you. And I think that's all I've got. I think your reading's done. I'm just kind of trying to feel it out. Okay. So thank you so much, Keen, for sponsoring today's video. If you would like to support this work, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like. If this was you and you needed to hear this like tough love, give me, I feel like give me like the angry face, the angry emoji in the comments. Because I feel like this reading snapped. Give me the little angry face. I want to see the mad face in the comments. My husband, who often will look at the comments too, he's going to be like, what the heck? It'll be funny. But yeah, give me the angry face if you like needed to hear this, if this was definitely meant for you. And if you would like to support my channel in other ways, I would love to have you as part of my Patreon community. I know I talk about this all the time, but that community really is like the backbone of this community. The reason I'm able to create free videos and free content the way that I do on YouTube is because of Patreon. And so if you would like to support the work that I do here, help me to create more of it, I would love to have you on Patreon. You get a bunch of free content for joining. There's extra pick-a-cards. I do weekly energy readings. We also do like fun community nights. We're doing a game night this weekend that I'm really excited about. What else is going on the Patreon? Oh, I recently put out some astrology content on Patreon that isn't going to come to YouTube. It's like Patreon only. And I've also moved all of my lifestyle content to Patreon only. So if you ever want to see like day in the life of a tarot card reader, that's a video I'm currently working on. Like vlogs, things like that. That is all only going to Patreon. So definitely make sure to check it out if you want to see more of those things. Especially my like online entrepreneurs. I am planning to also make something for Patreon in the future where I go over my equipment and all the stuff that I use. For any of you that are wanting to like do what I do, it's going to be a very like complete guide on that. So definitely make sure you're part of the Patreon if you want that video eventually. I don't know exactly when it's happening. I'm hoping for sometime in February. But is there anything else I want to say to y'all? Oh, and of course, there's also my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. If you would like to send me a tip for this reading, it would be graciously accepted. And don't forget to follow me around the web. I'm at Kloee Taylor. I am the only Kloee Taylor. No underscores, no periods, no extra letters. The only other account that I have on social media is Divine Authenticity, which is my podcast handle. So that's like the only other Instagram account I have. And I don't really post to it right now. So if you ever see anybody up in your DMs, I will never DM you for a reading. You can only book private readings through my website, KloeTaylor.com. And that's everything. All right. Thank you, pile number 2. If you listen to this whole spiel right here at the end of this video, you are amazing. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and go out there and make some magic, because you got things to say and things to create, and the universe people need only what you can bring to the table. And I love you so much. Bye. All right, pile number 3. If you chose the piece of citrine up there, this is going to be your reading. And you got the 5 of Cups as the heart of your reading, the Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. So I really feel like, number 1, if you're looking for a sign that money is going to increase, this is your sign. Okay. Your financial status is going to increase. And I say that because we have so many pentacle cards here. Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. Plus citrine, if you didn't know, is the crystal that helps you to attract abundance and wealth. This is actually one of my favorite crystals of all time. I did get it at a local shop in Utah when I used to live there. So unfortunately, I can't direct you on getting one exactly like that if you're looking for one, but I will direct you down below. Of course, I always have Bow Life linked down below with my discount code. She sells beautiful crystals. And I have some, and they're lovely, and crystal jewelry. I'm pretty sure she has a citrine set. So just putting that out there. If you're looking for that, there's somewhere you can get it. The other thing, getting back to the reading, is that I do feel like you maybe have been in a weird financial loop where you keep making good money, and then it's like you just don't know how to hold it. So the reason I say that is, like, we have Knight of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, which shows me that there is some wealth, like you are receiving money, but then it's almost like you don't know how to manage it to work for you. And so you get to this place of feeling like it's never enough. It's never enough. And then you end up focusing on all the things you don't have, all the money you're not making. And it's like this really... It's almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy that, like, you continue this same loop because you're not focused on the actual sustainability of wealth that you do have the ability to create. And it's not like, I'm not trying to say that if you deal with poverty right now, that you just magically have this ability to have all this money and make it work for you. Like, man, that is like so insulting. Not me, but have you ever listened to somebody try to talk to you about like how you need to have money in your savings account? And you're like, bitch, I literally don't have the money to like barely put food on the table. And you're trying to tell me I need to have like all these different accounts for all this money that I don't have. That shit makes me so mad. And it's like, it feels insulting to people that I feel like deal with genuine real poverty. Like, nobody just like, not everybody has the ability right this minute to just store a bunch of money away. So I want to make it very clear that that's not what Spirit's trying to say to you. It's not like, hey, you have all this money and you need to just make it work better. It's that when you actually start to build a true relationship and nurture the money that comes into your life, even if right now it doesn't feel like enough, that is where it will all change, by you creating soft discipline with money. So hear me out. What if you decided to treat money like you were in a relationship with it? Like, not like a romantic, I mean, maybe it's romantic for you, but think about that. If you had a friend that came into your life that wanted to bless and enrich your life, and you just constantly told it how frustrated it made you, how anxious it made you, how upset it made you, you didn't want to ever hang out with it, right? You always didn't want to open your bank account and look at it because you're feeling stress every time they're in the room. That friend, I would hope would dump you. Like, I would not want to hang out. That friend does not want to hang out. If you actually think about money in that way, make money your friend. Give money a space in your life where you actually have a relationship with it. And I'm going to tell you something that genuinely, I think if you do this in your own way, this has the ability to change the way that you have and receive and make money. Set a day of the week in your calendar where that is the day that you sit at the table, sit somewhere that like feels good to look at your finances. And even if it's hard the first couple of times, you have to honor this money date. Okay. Sit in a place that you want to deal with your finances at. So it could be like a desk in your room, a kitchen table, somewhere that feels, I wouldn't recommend like doing this on your bed because it just doesn't feel as formal. But I would also encourage, if you have the means, to get like a 7-day candle that you light only during this practice. I always recommend green, but white is fine. Any kind of candle will do. Maybe you have a scented candle that this is going to be your like money time candle and you only light it during this time. Do you see what I mean? So really setting the intention with this and making it a space that you dedicate to honoring and working on this relationship. And you want to bring all of your bills, all of your bank account. Maybe you bring your laptop or your phone, where anything that you use to manage your finances, you want to bring into this space. And you sit down, maybe you even bring your partner. If you have somebody that your money is like tied together, get them on board with this. And you're going to sit, and even if it's difficult, you're going to make a spreadsheet of all the money coming in, all the money going out, what bills need to be paid, and like what you actually have and make. And if you come to it that you're putting out more than you're receiving, this honestly can be an eye-opening experience, because you can start to ask yourself what you can do to generate more, what you can start to consider to change the situation. If you can ask for help, right? What can be done to change it? And if you find that it's not that and you do make enough, how can you start directing this money in a way that is going to serve you? So this is like, let's say, for example, you do make enough to pay all of your bills, but somehow you always end up with overdrafts because it's just not being managed correctly. I feel like that's really more of the lesson of this reading. Is I'm not trying to put it on you if you're somebody that's not the case and you just feel like you really struggle with money because you're just not making enough right now. Like, honestly, I would almost encourage you to go and repick a different reading, because there might still be something for you here, but I'm not trying to put the shame on anybody that deals with that, because even me as a person, like not channeling Kloee Taylor, I have dealt with that so many times in my life where I was not making enough money. And then I would feel insulted when somebody would try to tell me like, oh, you need to be saving X amount. And I'm like, bitch, I can't even afford to eat. What are you talking about? So this reading, I would definitely say, I don't know if this one is for you, if that is something you deal with. You can still use these practices that I'm talking about, but you're going to have to figure out a way to get out of the survival mode before you can really meet this challenge head on. And this is just not the reading that I'm receiving that you're in that. Like, I just don't think this reading is for you if that's where you are right now. And like I said, I have such sympathy and empathy for that situation because I myself have been there. It sucks and it's hard and it's scary. But if that's what you find, that you do make enough, but it just constantly slips through your fingers, it's that you need to, again, make money work for you and create this relational practice. So treat money like you're in a relationship with it. Talk about it nicely. Try to get to a place where you can open your bank account with neutrality. That is probably one of like the biggest takeaways from this, is if you can get to a place where you open the app on your phone for your bank and you don't have a bodily reaction, that can take you so far. Even if the account is negative, you have to come to a place of knowing that that doesn't say anything about you. Disconnect your identity and your own personal shame from a negative bank account, because often other people have driven it into you that you like should be ashamed if you can't make your own ends meet. And frankly, that's not true. It actually doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't. It says nothing about you. We have unforeseen circumstances that happen all the time. Something recently that actually taught me this was I had my own issues with credit card fraud this last month. Somebody took a bunch of money out of my account and made crazy purchases. And I was like, oh, actually, there are so many circumstances as to why I would have a negative bank balance. And it actually doesn't say anything about me and how I manage my finances. And like, look at how crazy that was that happened. So just know that like there is a way to detach those things. You don't have to own that and say that like you're just bad with money. It's the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm seeing with the 5 of Cups being the heart of your reading that you are focused on the wrong thing. You are not focusing on the money you do have, what you are bringing in, and how good it can get. You're focused more on what you don't have, what you're lacking, where your money isn't serving you. And with these practices, you can actually create more of a relationship and more of a focus on the good parts of money. Now, this doesn't mean that bad shit doesn't happen. Again, I always want to remind you, you can't just sprinkle glitter on shit and it just like magically not be shit. You can't. It's still going to be shit. So it's not about like toxic positivity and trying to cover everything up, but allowing yourself to gently move towards a better relationship with money, even if you have to remove some really hard band-aids and face some harsh realities by, opening up those bills, opening up that bank account that you don't want to look at. It is uncomfortable work. But the Queen of Pentacles says that you need to nurture that relationship that you have with money. And the Queen of Swords says that you need to give yourself a little bit of discipline. And this isn't like hurting yourself, breaking your own back to be disciplined. It's loving discipline. It's the discipline that comes from creating a budget and actually honoring that budget. And, budgets are not here to take away your fun or your enjoyment. They're actually here to serve the future version of yourself so that future you doesn't have to be anxious, stressed out, and really sad about the money that you don't have. So just know that like with Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, this is creating loving discipline with money, doing this with intention. So this is your sign though, that you are moving towards a direction where money is going to be increasing and you're going to feel a lot more confident in that. So if you were looking for a sign on finances, I do believe that this was your sign that it is increasing. Now we also have for you community, happy, and TikTok. So this is going to happen very quickly with TikTok. Community says to me that some of you literally might just have like be with Community Bank. I'm hearing like Spirit literally was like, you bank with Community Bank. That's funny because that is like a real bank. With TikTok, this tells me that this is going to happen faster than you think. And the more that you actually like get excited, that's another thing. Whenever you receive a bill, how many of you like curse the bill? You're like, man, F this bill. This shit sucks. I don't want to pay this crap. But are you like, to give it perspective, gosh, I don't remember who said it. It might have been a comedian that was like, are you out there holding a satellite in the sky, giving yourself your own internet? No, somebody provides that service to you, and paying for it is like a divine right that you have to pay to have that service. And it is an honor that you don't have to go out there and make your own internet or like provide, you don't have to go out and like basically do all the laborious work unless you're a farmer that like brings your food and nutrients into your home, right? But yet we curse the grocery bill or we curse the rent bill or we curse the electric bill. But Spirit is saying the more that you can say, I'm so grateful that I have this service and that I can have this provided to me and pay that bill with gratitude. I wouldn't say do this all at once. Like don't try to do this with every bill right at first. Start with one. Start with one that you're like, dang, that really does make sense. Like I always feel like it's my electricity or my like phone that I tend to do this with first, and then it can trickle into other bills over time. But the more that you get into the frequency of treating those bills with happiness, with respect, with allowing yourself to feel gratitude for the services that are provided to you, the better you're going to feel. And the easier this transition is going to become into literally like you are literally changing the way that you feel and behave with money. And this is going to be something that's going to serve you for the long term. Now, we also have for you big happy changes. So literally, big happy financial changes. Something really big is changing in your life, especially if this has been a cycle that has gone on for like a decade. This is where that cycle is finally stopping and ending, and you are changing your life for the better because of this. So like, oh, you know what's so beautiful about this? I love this concept that like there's a last time for everything. And this can be like bittersweet or happy. Like think about it. There was a time in your life where your mother held you for the last time and neither of you knew it. Or the last time that I can't think of, like, I'm trying not to be morbid because that can get morbid really fast. Like when we talk about like death, but there's a last time for everything. And the last time you worked a shift at an old job, the last time you, the last time you, I don't want to say had your first kiss because that's like a really quick last time. There's a first and that's it. But you get what I'm saying. Like there's a last time for everything. And I really am hearing for you from Spirit that this is the last time that you're going to let money slip by you like this. This is the time that it's finally going to work. The budget is going to work and you are going to make your relationship with money different from here on out. This is the last time. So like you've had to learn a lot of lessons around finances and they have been hard. Like you maybe have even lost homes or lost credit cards, like you have had a lot of loss financially in your life, and Spirit is saying this is the last time that you're going to deal with this specific situation. And it's because you have finally integrated and learned the lesson. So this is a big happy change. And we also have trust. You need to trust. And look, these cards also have like this gold glitter at the bottom, and it's like reminding me of gold, like literal gold. But Spirit is saying you need to trust that this is new. You are turning over a new leaf. You are becoming new with this area of your life. And oh, look, this card also has this like beautiful green ring up here. And green is also the color that corresponds to luck, money, and abundance. We also have for you Chrysocolla, Start Fresh. So treat this like a new beginning. You are not the person you used to be. You are now somebody that identifies as being really confident with money. Drill that identity into your unconscious as much as possible. In fact, I'm going to make a suggestion to you, pile number 3. If this is resonating with you, this is not sponsored by them. Our video today is sponsored by Keen, but Superhuman, the app. It's an app that just does like meditation. And there's a 2-week free trial of it. I actually pay out of pocket for it myself because it's something that has literally changed my life. I'm going to talk about it in probably another YouTube video in the future. But if you feel like you need to reprogram your subconscious around money, this is an excellent app that can help you do it. It's not like meditation. I don't even know. I don't want to go too into detail about it because I'm going to make another video in the future. But it's just something that it helps you to reconsider the way that you think when used consistently. And it's not like any other meditation app I've ever used in my life, ever. Like, and I've used a lot of them. So just check it out. It's called Superhuman. It's one that I really believe has helped me reprogram my identity, and I have shifted who I believe that I am. And then we have Ignite Your Passion. So this is also something that works really well when it comes to money, is like when you are passionate about the way that you are making money, that you are making abundance, it makes abundance easier to flow to you, because it's like, I hate that phrase, like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, because like there's still going to be like shitty parts of your job. Like even what I do for a living, I still have to deal with like nasty comments and hate mail. Like I still have to deal with shitty parts of my job. Everybody does. But when you do what you're really, really, truly passionate about, money becomes no issue. It really does, because you will be abundantly taken care of when you are singing your unique frequency out into the world, especially if it helps somebody else. And then we also have for you, oneness is my true nature. So that is just the affirmation I'm going to leave you with. And Pile number 3. I hope this reading helps you out on your path. Thank you so much to Keen for sponsoring today's video. And please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. And if you would like to support me more, please, please, please check out the Patreon. That's like the reason I'm able to create the content that I create, is because of Patreon. They are like the backbone of this community. It's where all my lifestyle content goes, extra pick a card readings. I recently put out an astrology video for all those of y'all that are going to have a Saturn return in Pisces that's coming up in March. I went over like the astrology and how to figure it out, how to like really decipher it for yourself. I have a game night coming up, a community game night. We're going to be playing Fall Guys together. So if you want to join, definitely check it out. It really does help me as a creator continue to do the work that I do. So I would certainly appreciate it. And if you would like to help me in another way, you can always send a tip if the reading resonated to my Cashapp, Venmo, or PayPal. All the information for that is down below. And don't forget to follow me on socials. I'm at Kloee Taylor everywhere. I love you so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, my pumpkin.